Today we're going to be installing the ARB Twin Compressor with the Grimm Offroad Twin Compressor Bracket for the 2021 Bronco. Stay tuned. And welcome back to the Northridge 4x4 Do-It-Yourself Garage. And yes, today we're going to go onboard air compressor with the ARB Twin Compressor and a Grimm Offroad under the hood compressor mount. Now, why would you want a solid mounted compressor on your rig? Well, for a couple reasons. One is it's going to save room inside. We've been hauling around a portable compressor for the last year and a half in this Bronco, and it takes up extra space that we could have, well, we could have recovery gear there or even camping gear there. Second is we're never going to leave that compressor in the garage. It's going to be under the hood, ready to go whenever we need it. So our first step is to get it together here on the workbench, and then it goes under the hood, and we'll show you how to do it. The Grimm Offroad Twin Compressor Mount Kit comes with just about everything you need to do this swap. You get the mounting brackets, fittings, air hose, wire harness, and the assembly hardware. Though you will need to source an ARB Twin Compressor and an air hose kit. Now for the compressor itself, we're going to use that legendary ARB Twin Compressor, and we've done tons of videos on this before. This will fill up a 40-inch tire in about 4.5 minutes. And it's one of the fastest compressors out there. It's also got legendary reliability. These things are rock solid, and that's why you'll see them on so many vehicles. Now our first step is to realign this manifold head. Right now that port's sticking straight up at us. I'm going to grab a 10 mil wrench. And you can just barely grab a hold of the head of the bolt, and we're just going to loosen it a turn or two. And we'll take our 90-degree fitting, and we're going to throw some Teflon tape on it. Now you always want to wind it in the direction you screw the fitting in. If you go backwards and you start threading this in, it's just going to peel that Teflon tape right out. And we'll use a 9/16 wrench. You can use a 14 also, but the 9/16 just fits a little bit better. Now once she starts getting snug, you want to plan it so it points out the back. And then we can just rotate this down and then tighten that 10 mil bolt back up. Now there's just a little O-ring under this manifold cap, so you don't really need to mash on it. Just tighten it up a little bit, and we're good. Next step is to grab our stainless hose, and that's gonna get screwed on there. Takes that same 19. Now we can grab the Grimm cover. And we want to make sure that this fitting here, the bulkhead fitting, is nice and tight. So I just got a couple crescent wrenches. And we're just going to snug those up. Now we grab the second fitting here and throw some Teflon tape on that. And you just got to go around about twice, maybe 3 times. Make sure that you're going the same direction as you would be tightening that fitting in. And we're going to go right into the back of that bulkhead fitting. And we can set that aside for now. And we're going to grab our compressor, flip that over, and we're going to set our bracket down on top, and we need to bolt it in place. But instead of sitting here trying to wrestle this in to get it all together, grab a small block of wood, set your compressor up on that, and now when that Grimm bracket goes on it, she hangs down, and we can grab our hardware kit out of the compressor bag, and you've got 4 mounting screws with washers. Now we're going to grab our old friend, the blue Loctite. We don't need much, just a little dab. We're going to keep those just a little bit loose. And then we can tighten these screws up. Now we're going to grab our cover plate. Now we grab these carriage bolts, and you notice the holes are square, and then you've got a square head under this bolt flange, and that's so it'll lock into place. So a little dab of Loctite. And then a washer and a nut. Make sure our hoses are snugged up. Then we're going to grab our air compressor pump up kit and open it up, and we've got our air chuck. Same thing here, we're going to throw a little Teflon tape on it, and that screws right down on. And we'll grab a 19. And now it's time to move under the hood. Okay, so we're going to start out right over here. Here's our ECU, and we've got the ECU bracket. Now I've got a trim panel tool. We're going to pop this little Christmas tree out of here. Come right down here to this latch. We're going to push down, and then the latch opens, and that comes off the ECU, or the PCM as I'll call it. Take an 8mm socket. And let's go ahead and pull our ground out of the way. And then the next two bolts. There's one more that comes up under the fender well, and that's one of those screwy little Phillips screwdriver into a plastic washer. And that's this guy here. It's just a plastic screw into a plastic swedge nut, and it's easiest to come in with your panel tool and get underneath the head of it, put some pressure on it, and then if you're really careful, you can unscrew that without stripping it out. Now this whole assembly comes right off. Now with our PCM here, with the bolts facing up, we'll take a 10mm socket, spin the nuts off, and that PCM comes off. Now our bolt pattern here is going to line up with the bolt pattern right on the Grimm bracket. Now this is something we should have noticed at the very beginning of the install. One of these bolts is a little longer than the others, and that's going to go here on this position. So we'll throw a little Loctite on there and squeeze our fingers way up in there. Make sure that little square head drops into the hole. And then we'll do the same with the remaining three. Now this is our support bracket right here. So we're going to grab one of our zip ties and slide through the bracket and then right back out the other way. And then grab the rubber isolator and a dab of Loctite. Washer and a nut. And we can plug that into the main lead. And then the Grimm supplied harness, and that's going to plug in right here. Hey, let's get it on the right side though. Let's gonna plug in right there. And that's gonna feed up through the bottom. And we'll grab our ARB compressor switch. If you look at the back side, we got 5 terminals. Now we're not gonna use this side at all. Our top one, that's gonna be the ground, that's our black wire. The middle one is our power in, that's the red wire. And then the bottom is our power out, telling the compressor to turn on, and that's our purple wire. Now we can spin that around and snap that right into place. And I'm just gonna put a loop on this guy and tuck it up out of the way. Now we're ready to move back under the hood, and we're gonna start out with this little bracket right here. Now for that bracket, we've got to reach way down inside. We've got to get down to that bolt right down there, or that nut. It's a 17, we reach down in there. All right, then we want to take our bracket, and that's gonna tuck around the back side and drop down on. All right, because of the way that's built, we need to go with a short socket. We can tighten that back up. Now we can use our zip tie right here. And zip tie that hose in place. And now comes our compressor assembly, and we're gonna drop it down, and this tab right here, that's gonna go down onto that bracket we just installed. Right on that rubber isolator. Now we can take our harness and we can just lay it right across and over towards the battery. Now our plug can come up here along with our ground, and that's going to go right into the ARB bracket. And we're going to take those original bolts and our blue Loctite again. Then we can reinstall that top bolt. Now we can grab our harness, carefully slide that into place. And the cam lock will cinch it down and snap it in place. And we'll go with a little dab of blue on that rubber isolator bolt. And a washer and a nut. Get that nice and tight. Then we have the side support bracket. Now this little bracket was a pain in the tail to get into place. First, we had the longer bolt on the wrong side of the PCM, and we had to fix that. And then the way that bracket is shaped, it was actually tough to get into place and get our hands in there to bolt it in. It would have been a lot easier to install it to the main compressor bracket first, just leaving it a little loose, and then installing that whole compressor assembly into place, and then bolting the side support bracket to the fender support last. Then we've got our two ARB filters, and we're just gonna pop these little caps out, and they just screw right down on. Hey, let's get them going the right way. There we go. All right, now to service these filters, you just want to pop them off, and you've got this sintered bronze filter. You pull it out, you'll have a dirty side and a clean side. Your dirty side, just spray it down with some 409, Fantastic, some other nice mild cleaner, and then flip it upside down and use warm water right there in your tap and just run it through and wash the dirt back out. Once you've got them clean, then you could take your air gun, a blowgun, and just go through the backside, blowing through it again. You want to blow all the dirt back the way it came. And once she's clean and dry, they go right back in, and boom, you're done. We're gonna have to do something with this. I'll probably reroute it down and around, and I'm gonna have to do something else here. Like anything, when you're putting in lots of electrical components, things are a tight squeeze, but we're gonna have to revisit this, clean this up, make this look a little nicer. We can just grab our hose, plug that in, and then push our button. And off. Now for filling tires, we want to have that engine running because these compressors do draw quite a few amps, but just for a test like this, hey, we're good. So there we are at pressure. So that's one down and 3 more to go. And at 3 minutes per 35-inch tall tire, this ARB twin compressor makes filling tires fast. So if you're ready for onboard air in your Ford Bronco, well, check out the Grimm Offroad Twin ARB Compressor Bracket and that Twin ARB compressor. We've got them here at Northridge 4x4. Hit those links down in the description box below and get one on its way to you. Thanks for watching today. We'll see you again soon.